Good morning, I'm Jonathan Estrada, and today I will be talking about the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear disaster and why that relates to us as residents of Orange County. On March 11, 2011, a magnitude 9.0 earthquake struck Japan, fifth largest earthquake ever recorded. Shortly following, a tsunami struck Japan. There were over 15,000 people killed, with over 190,000 buildings either damaged or destroyed. One of the buildings damaged in this event was the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant. From where I stand, I am only 40 miles from the nearest nuclear reactor, that being located at San Onofre. And according to a survey done by the Civil Society, over 50% of people living within 50 miles of a nuclear reactor have no idea that it's there, let alone what to do if something goes wrong. And according to Stephen Rodney, a geophysicist at MIT, Japan was the most earthquake-prepared country on Earth. In the speech, I will inform you about what to do if an incident similar to that of Fukushima happens here. I will go over what happened at Fukushima. I will go over why our plant is just as vulnerable as the plant in Fukushima. And I will go over what we need to do as residents living within 50 miles should do if something were to happen here. There are a few things that, there were actually a lot of things that went wrong at Fukushima. The first thing was the earthquake. As soon as the earthquake struck, the plant got shut down, the reactor got shut down, and electric pump started pumping water to keep the reactor cool. This failed as well because the electric went out. After the earthquake knocked out electric. And then after that, the backup to that was a diesel generator. Diesel generator switched on and started pumping water into the reactor. An hour later, this got knocked out by a 30-foot wall of water, which was a tsunami. With two backup systems down, they only had one left. The last backup system was the one that converts steam within the reactor to water to cool the reactor down. This unfortunately didn't work because the water level had already fallen too low. And as you can see, once the rods were exposed, it created a chemical reaction that made a whole bunch of hydrogen within the reactor, and this led to explosions of 3 reactors over 3 days. These explosions sent massive amounts of radioactive material into the air. As you can see from the next slide, radioactive material does not stay in one place. And as you can see from the next slide, it also is long-lasting. This is projections over a year of radioactive material. And in the next slide, you will see a picture of the nuclear power plant in San Onofre and what the fallout might look like if it were ever have a meltdown. And we are well within that area. Now that I've talked to you about what happened at Fukushima, I will now talk to you about why our plant is just as vulnerable as that plant was. The first thing is, everybody knows we live in an earthquake-prone area. And according to Gil Alberts, a spokesman for the plant, it is built to withstand a 7.0 earthquake. The only problem with that is the San Andreas Fault is capable of producing an 8.0 earthquake, and most people might think that that's not that much of a difference, but an 8.0 earthquake is literally 10 times stronger than a 7.0. The other reason it's just as vulnerable is it's right next to the ocean. Right next to the ocean. And even though it does have a seawall, the seawall is only 14 feet above the water during high tide. The size of the tsunami that hit Japan was 30 feet. So a similar tsunami would have no problem breaching the wall and causing damage. The last reason why our plant is just as vulnerable is it shares similar backup procedures, the same ones that failed at Fukushima. Now that I've talked to you about why Our plant is just as vulnerable. I will now talk to you about what to do if something were to happen at our plant. The first thing you need to decide as residents within the 50 miles is whether to stay or go. That's the most important part. And of course, to go is always going to be the better option. Getting as far away as you can, it will always be the better option. But if you have to stay because you don't have nowhere to go or you can't find a place to go, staying, there's a few things you got to know if you're going to stay. First thing, you have to be well supplied. The first thing you're going to want to have is a battery-powered radio, because you don't want to be stuck in the dark if there's no electricity and not know what's going on, or not be able to get updates about the situation. Next thing you're going to want, of course, is enough food to last you until emergency services such as the Red Cross can come and assist you. The next most important thing you must have is an adequate supply of water, because you won't be able to use the water out of the faucet because it will most likely be contaminated because we use aqueducts here, and they'll get contaminated because the radioactive material is in the air. The last thing you want to know, if you stay, you're going to want to stay inside. Obviously, if you stay inside. You want to lessen your exposure to any radioactive materials that might be floating around outside. In this speech, I've informed you about what to do in case a nuclear disaster. I've gone over what happened at Fukushima. I've gone over why our plant is just as vulnerable, and I've gone over what you need to know as residents who reside within 50 miles of the plant. Hopefully with this information, we will not fall under the 50% that have no idea what to do in case of a disaster. Thank you.